Welcome to NightScroll, the place where real stories meet mystery, fear, and the unknown. Tonight's story begins on a rainy night in a small, quiet town where something beneath the streets was waiting to be heard. What started as a whisper turned into a nightmare that never truly ended. This is The Girl in the Storm Drain. Let's begin. It happened in 2018 when I was living in a small town in Ohio. The kind of place where everyone knows each other and nothing unusual ever really happens, until it does. I was 23 and had just moved back in with my parents after a bad breakup. They lived in a quiet neighborhood, right next to a small wooded area and a creek that ran behind our row of houses. I wasn't excited to be back, but I told myself it was only for a few months. That October, it rained hard for 3 days straight. The creek flooded, and everything smelled damp and strange. That's when it all started. One evening, around 8 p.m, I was walking home from my part-time job. It was already dark, and the streetlights were flickering because of the storm. The air smelled like wet leaves and old metal. That's when I heard it. A voice. It was soft but clear.
"Help me, please."
I stopped. The voice wasn't coming from a house or the woods. It was coming from the ground, right near a storm drain at the corner of our street. I slowly walked closer, wondering if it was a prank. Maybe some kind of echo from the flooded creek. Then I heard it again.
"Please, help me. It's cold down here."
It sounded like a little girl, maybe 6 or 7 years old. Her voice was weak, like she had been crying for a long time. My heart dropped. I knelt next to the drain and called out, "Hello? Are you okay? Are you stuck?" There was a short pause. Then she said,
"I don't know where I am. I'm lost."
I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight, shining it into the drain. But I couldn't see anything, just wet concrete and rushing water. The opening was narrow, but maybe just big enough for a small child to crawl into. Just then, I noticed something floating near the edge of the drain. I carefully reached for it with a stick. It was a small shoe. Muddy, soaked and clearly not new. A child's shoe. That image has never left me. I ran home, told my parents, and my dad came back with me, carrying a flashlight. But by the time we got there, silence. The voice was gone. We called the police. They searched the storm drain system. They even sent in a small robot camera and brought dogs. They didn't find anything. No girl, no signs of anyone. No missing child reports in the area. The shoe was bagged and taken, but I never heard back about it. I couldn't stop thinking about that voice. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed for hours, staring at the ceiling. Around 3 a.m, I heard something. It was coming from my window. My bedroom is on the ground floor, facing our backyard. I got out of bed and slowly pulled the curtain aside. No one was there. But in the grass below the window were 2 bare footprints. Small, wet, as if a child had been standing there, watching. The next day, I asked some of the neighbours if they'd ever heard anything strange. Most shook their heads, but one woman, Mrs. Carver, who had lived on the street since the 80s, took me aside. "You heard her, didn't you?" she said quietly. My mouth went dry. I nodded. She told me that in 1991, a girl named Emily had gone missing. She was 7, last seen playing near the creek during a storm, not far from the same drain. They never found her, just one of her shoes in the water. Over the years, kids had claimed to hear her crying near the drains, or see her wandering the woods, soaking wet and barefoot. People called it a local ghost story. But Mrs. Carver didn't think it was just a story. "She's still down there," she whispered. "She's been waiting." Later that night, I went to the drain again. I don't even know why. Curiosity? Guilt? I knelt down and whispered, "Emily, are you still there?" At first, nothing. Then, the voice returned.
"Why did you leave me?"
It sounded different this time. Sad, angry, like she knew me, like she remembered me.
You can help me, please.
Her voice echoed, but something in it chilled me to the bone. A feeling I can't explain. It wasn't a child's fear. It was something older, hungrier. Then I saw it, floating just beneath the surface of the water. A second shoe, perfectly preserved, even after all these years, identical to the first. I reached for it, but as my fingers touched the edge, a hand, small, pale, cold, shot up and grabbed my wrist. I screamed and yanked back. There was nothing there, just the drain, just the water. I left the shoe. I never went back to that drain again. But something changed after that night. I still hear her sometimes, in dreams, in the sound of water moving through pipes, in puddles after rain. Once, during a heavy storm, I woke to find wet footprints across my bedroom floor, leading from the window to the foot of my bed. She's still looking. She wants someone to find her, or take her place. And sometimes, when it rains just right, I think she's getting closer.